Welcome into this episode of Believe in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson, former Washington Redskin wide receiver, Anthony Armstrong, part of the Believe Network, and we are brought to you by FanDuel as we get ready, Anthony, for the big Monday nighter. And right now, the guys at FanDuel have the Commanders a hefty 11.5-point underdog, as you might expect, without Jaden Daniels in the lineup. And our pleasure to bring in from 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City, Jay Binkey, talk show host there. And Jay, thanks for giving us some time this week. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, we're doing good. But we're still 6:10, like we're 6:10 a.m. So we still got that going for us. Yeah. But how you guys doing? Great to be with you.
Excellent. Well, yeah, that's great. Get you a couple spots. And of course, the Chiefs, I mean, the feeling nationally is the Chiefs are back. What is the feeling locally where you guys have seen the championships up close? Is this championship Chief quality football we're seeing right now?
Yeah, and it's a better team, to be honest with you. I mean, they've scored over 100 points the last 4 games. I mean, they haven't done that since 2022. And really, going into last week, it was last week going to that game, and 95 points last 3. Haven't done it since 22. But they're good. And when Xavier Worthy, they missed him on play 3. He's out. That was a big part of the offensive game plan in Brazil, and he's out. And all of a sudden, you're down Rashee Rice still till game 6. You're without your 1 and 2. And keep in mind, Patrick Mahomes played without his 1, his 2, and his number 1 running back most of the year, and he won 15 games and won the division by 4. The only division in the AFC to have 3 playoff teams, as the Chargers and Broncos win as well. But I remind people, 2021, the Chiefs were 2-3, and then they were 3-3, and then they were 3-4, and then it was a last-minute field goal against the Giants, so they would have gone to 3-5. They still went to the AFC title game. So I know it's early, and I know the division looks strong. I mean, the Broncos have been putting some good wins together, and certainly the Chargers look great on Thursday Night Football. But yeah, I do believe I would honestly take this 25 team over the 24 team, any neutral field. And I'd heavily favor the 25 team. This offense is just in sync. They're top 5 in offense and defense, and it's showing. But not only that, the Chiefs used to, guys, let me put it this way, the last 4 years, as far as what they've been doing on 4th down defense, because people used to thought, well, we'll go for it on the Chiefs on 4th down. Well, 4th down defense in 22, teams were getting first downs 57% on 4th down. 2023, 46%. 2024, 52.2%. This year, 28.6%. Teams only 4 of 14 on 4th down. And keep in mind, the tush push by Philly put those numbers up to even 26% or 28%. So they're doing it, and they're going for it. And Andy Reid's been aggressive this year, too, offensively. They're 12 of 15. They're 80% on 4th down. This is a side of Andy Reid. If the Chiefs are near the 50, they're going for it. But not only that, but the key, like I said, was teams going for it on 4th down to put touchdowns up against the Chiefs. This 4th down defense has kept them from doing it and putting Patrick back on the field in great field position. That's been a big reason, a lot of reason for the Chiefs' success.
Wow. I mean, when you say all of those things, it's really crazy to hear how much success they're having, and you see an adjustment by Andy Reid. I think that's smart by him to kind of listen to the pulse of the team and saying, hey coach, let's be a little bit more aggressive in these situations and to find a way to generate some excitement. I feel like Washington in that same boat. You mentioned missing wide receiver 1 and 2. Washington's been there, right? But they're coming back.
They're the same situation,
sitting right in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing about all these injuries in the NFL. The Lions came to town, and they were missing 4 guys in the secondary. Well, guess what? Those guys were still missing against the Buccaneers, including Brian Branch. So they're actually out more, and they look great in that game.
Yeah.
So that wasn't an excuse anymore because those defensive guys didn't put up just 17 points on the Chiefs in Kansas City. So everybody's, with the injuries, but everybody's got them, man. Everybody's got them. The Chiefs have been dealing with injuries and suspensions. And luckily, knock on wood, even though they have some injuries, Trey Smith, the highest paid guard in the National Football League, is banged up. We'll see if he goes on Sunday. But, that's a question. But everybody's banged up. And Anthony, you know this. Yeah. If the coaches are listening to the players, it's a big difference, man. The Chiefs, when they do these trick plays, because every once in a while, every couple games, they roll out trick plays. Those are designed a lot of times by Patrick Mahomes. And it goes back to when Tyreek Hill was here. It'd be Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. they would stay after practice and come out with these things. They'd even ask Eric Bieniemy, hey, is this legal or not? Can I go in motion? And so Mahomes once against the Panthers goes in motion. They check with the Chiefs on that, and Andy Reid gives them, that to do. It gives the guys some ownership of the team, and I think it goes a long way in that locker room, to be honest with you.
No, it really does. It really does. But how well do you see Spagnuolo, Coach Spags, and that defense going up against this iteration of the Commanders' offense, where you could have 1 and 2 back, Mariota's in the backfield, could be an explosive running game. How do you see them matching up with this Washington offense?
Well, that running game of Washington is certainly impressive. I mean, it really is. What's the number 2 in the National Football League now, getting about 149 yards a game? Spags will concentrate on that. He will. I mean, just like when they played Derrick Henry, Chiefs didn't allow a 100-yard running back all last year. Not even Saquon got that on him in the Super Bowl. The only guy that go over 100 yards was Lamar Jackson in the regular season. But the Chiefs find that guy to shut down, like they did Derrick earlier this year with the Ravens. But they key in on something. Certainly that would have been Jaden Daniels. 100% that would have been Jaden Daniels. But when he's out of the equation, they're familiar with Mariota. Mariota came in here and beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the postseason. It wasn't Mahomes, it was Alex Smith. A difference, but they're familiar with Mariota, and they have nothing but respect for what he can do. I have a lot of respect for what he can do at quarterback. And is Debo going to play?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, Debo and McLaurin's probably playing too. Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah, and, the voice of the Chiefs considers Rashee Rice kind of Debo 2.0 in the things that he can do. And I'll tell you this much. There's not one player in the National Football League that would want to see with Andy Reid than peak Debo Samuel. I mean, there's not one player that would want to see what Andy Reid would have done with Debo Samuel. He is incredible. Yeah, but Spags is going to zero in, obviously, on that running game. Jaden Daniels, I mean, the guy's electric. The guy's fun to watch. And to be honest with you guys, when the schedule came out, it's like, all right, we get to see Jaden Daniels and Mahomes go at it. I still would have taken him number 1 overall. I still think he's better than Caleb Williams. I 100% was saying this through the draft and everything, that you guys got the better end of that deal. He's impressive.
Yeah, he's good, man. We got to get him back out there, though.
Need him healthy, yeah, definitely. Need to get him healthy. We're here, Believe in Commanders podcast. Scott Jackson, former Redskin Anthony Armstrong, Jay Binkey from 96.5 The Fan and 610 AM in Kansas City, talking about the Chiefs. You really haven't made us feel any better, Jay, by the way, telling us that you think the Chiefs are better than they have been in years past now. Has there been a concern spot? I mean, maybe it's something really silly. I don't know. Has there been any type of thing? I mean, you guys have to talk about something on radio. You have to complain about something between Monday through,
they always
Friday.
do.
So we all do. Absolutely. So what is it? We have a long list this year, but we didn't have as long a list last year.
Well, it's thin. I mean, it's thin on the defensive line. They lost their number 2 draft pick in the last game, Omar Norman-Lott, that led college football from the interior on pass rush win rate. Now, they took him in the second round. Was in a part of a 6-man rotation they did at Tennessee. They didn't. So you'll look back and don't see any starts, but they just rotated guys in. But he was one of the leaders in pressure rate, or the leader in pressure rate in college football, but he's out. He's gone. So, but they bring in Jerry Tillery and some of these other guys on defense, and clearly they've been playing Chris Jones all the time, getting double team. He plays all the time. So I would say when the trade deadline comes up here November 4th, look for defensive linemen. Look for defensive linemen, edge help for the Kansas City Chiefs. Those are 2 worry areas for the Kansas City Chiefs. To be honest with you, I would call up Arizona right now. I'd take some Calais Campbell. He's 39 years old, 1-year contract. He's got 5 sacks this year. That guy would go right into your locker room like Terrell Suggs did when the Chiefs picked him up, throw him right in that locker room, and he would be just fine. But also the running game, it was a real weakness earlier in the season. Pacheco really hadn't got going. Patrick Mahomes is running more than he ever does. He's up to 250 yards. Finally, Pacheco has passed him in rushing yards, but they're not designed quarterback runs. He waits for that pocket, to kind of get down, and then he goes. He just has that knack and ability not to get hit, knock on wood, like Marcus Allen used to do when he, get into the end zone, just would take care of his body and not take the wear and tear. But the running back situation, Kareem Hunt got banged up last week in a game and actually left the game for a while. That was a concern because he's got a rate that's incredible. Like for his 1 yard rush rate, like 3rd and 1, the Chiefs don't need to push because, and they won't do it because of Mahomes hurting his knee in Denver a couple years ago. But Kareem Hunt's been picking up the damage. He's been Their guy. That's the short yardage guy is Kareem Hunt. Isaiah Pacheco is more of your every down back. And then Brashard Smith, their rookie out of SMU, has really been somebody to watch the last couple of weeks. This kid's electric, guys, at running back. And he was a wide receiver at Miami for 3 years. And then he goes to SMU last year, and they decide to make him a running back. And obviously he's a very good running back and very effective. But he has really been sprinkled into this offense more and more as they trust him. But again, you're just one play away. You're one play away. So I think the running back room would have been considered a weakness early on. Elijah Mitchell, the former San Francisco running backs here on the team, he's got a 4.3 240 that he ran, but he hadn't been active any games for the Chiefs. So they do have him if there's an injury to bring up. So defensive line and running back. Early on, it was wide receiver, but that's been rectified.
It's definitely been rectified. We're getting all your heat back. I'm looking at FanDuel, and fast running backs have been a kind of a problem area for the Commanders this season, kind of matching up with the running back. But FanDuel's talking about rushing yards. We're talking about rushing yards for quarterbacks. I'd look at the over for 23.5 yards for Mahomes and Mariota. I think those are pretty plausible. Some things to look at, and even rushing attempts, 4.5 for Mahomes. I'm interested to see how Washington tries to match up with him. Obviously, he's got a crazy arm talent and all the speed outside. If there was one question mark, obviously we talked about the running game. Can y'all get by with only Patrick Mahomes throwing the rock, or do they need to try to develop some sort of running attack going against this Washington line?
They've been better at it. They've been better. The last couple of weeks, the Chiefs right now, I mean, as far as running totally, they're up to 12th in the NFL, 123 yards a game on the ground. They're able to do it. And teams, early on were able to spy Mahomes a lot more. So he's getting these yards, having that extra man. But now with Rashee Rice back in the equation, Travis Kelce becomes happier because he's not being double teamed and shadowed. You put Rice in the equation, Worthy's back. Tyquan Thornton's now made a name for himself in the NFL with 3 touchdowns this year. This guy's blazing 4.28 speed. As a matter of fact, he actually beat John Ross's 4.21 at the 40. That's the record that Worthy has. It was a couple years before that. And Tyquan Thornton, who's a former second-round draft pick, from the Patriots, didn't work out here, was on the practice squad here last year, but he has really found a home and a connection with Mahomes. They've really been working hard, and he's the deep threat for Kansas City. And keep in mind, he possesses that 4.28 speed. You got Worthy at 4.21. You got Hollywood Brown at 4.27. Isaiah Pacheco's at 4.37. So they got speed up and down. That's, kind of been the MO ever since Tyreek Hill.
Well, Jay, I got to ask you, you've been there through this amazing, run with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Do people still appreciate it in Kansas City? Or are you at the point where it's like, you can't even enjoy regular wins? I mean, tell me kind of how the fan base goes with having such crazy success over these last, 7 years.
Well, it's been a while, guys, and keep this in mind. Up until, they won a playoff game in 2015, coming off 2014, which they didn't make the playoffs. The only year in Kansas City Andy Reid hasn't made them. And things were bleak. The Chiefs had one playoff win in 21 years. All those years of Marty and stuff, they'd have great records. They'd get to the playoffs, but then they'd lose those playoff games. In that 15 year, Chiefs started 1-5. They had to build themselves back up. And then they beat Houston in Texas there. Then they lose to New England Patriots the next round of the playoffs. But 21 years without a playoff win. So it's not always been great here. You always have to remind people of that. I mean, babies were conceived, born, and drinking a beer legally at a bar in this 21-year span. So it hasn't always been like that. But you always remind them, like, hey, I know you guys were tired on Super Bowl Sunday of watching the New England Patriots every year. And now you get to watch the Chiefs. And the reason I think they kind of get it is Kelce, I remember he said it after the Buccaneers loss in the Super Bowl. They asked him if it's a successful season. And typically in Kansas City, if you just make it to the Super Bowl, it would be a success. And he said, no, we didn't win it. And at that point, I was like, all right, they're starting to get this and understand it. Then Mahomes was asked about his Super Bowl rings. And in jest, he kind of said, well, the ones they win are in the safe. The ones they don't, the AFC Championship rings, they go on the top of it. So that was kind of in jest, but they're driven by that. They were driven by that loss last year. And I knew when ESPN put out that Kingdom show they had, that I knew they'd be reminded of it
Yeah.
again. They'd be reminded of that green confetti coming down. And I think that was good for the Chiefs. You know, they kind of wanted to wash that out, but then here it is, this new series on ESPN, and obviously talking a lot about that Super Bowl loss that the Chiefs had. But yeah, I kind of remind the fans, don't be Kansas basketball fans, right? Like, they don't care about conference titles.
Yeah.
They wrapped off, 16, 17 in a row. The banners for the Final Four is what they care about. I said,
Right.
Don't be that. Always be appreciative of getting there. But 7 straight AFC title games, Super Bowls 5 of the last 6 years. It's like, just remember where we came from, man, because we can quickly go back there.
It's a hell of a run, and again, it's supposed to not happen, right? The parity league of the NFL, and we've had the dynasty that was New England, and now the one with Kansas City. It's quite something. And you know, they always make the point. It's the hardest season is for the team that loses the Super Bowl, right? It's very difficult for the team that loses the Super Bowl, but the Chiefs are making it look a lot easier than most right now. So you didn't give us a lot of hope for Monday night, but we still appreciate you coming on, Jay. It sounds like we should turn the TVs off early. I don't know.
No, not at all. Hey, any given Sunday, man. Any given Sunday in the National Football League.
That's a problem. It's on Monday,
night,
Jay. I mean, they would flex this game out in a normal situation.
They get the Colts at noon in a couple weeks in Kansas City. You imagine when the schedule makers made that?
Yeah,
they thought, here comes Indy to Kansas City. Let's put this game at noon or whatever. Now they're probably wishing it was at a different time. But, you know, you guys know how tough it is to do this. Anthony, I mean, Andy Reid's got one coach of the year, one. That's it. 2003, one.
Wow.
Matt Nagy on the staff has one. Kevin Stefanski of Cleveland has two. Who's a better coach, Andy Reid or Kevin Stefanski? The thing is, it is harder to repeat. You almost have to suck and then be good to get coach of the year, right? But it is tough when everybody's gearing up for you. The bullseye's on your back. But no, I mean, obviously we wanted to see Jaden Daniels. I mean, obviously he's a special talent, and obviously Debo's fun to watch in that team. I actually thought they'd win the division last year. I went on a limb and called Washington to win last year. I believe in that team this year, too. I think it's going in the right direction. I really do. I know there's a lot of respect from the Chiefs coaching staff to the coaching staff in Washington. It's a pesky football team, and it's fun to watch. But, man, do I wish – what's Jaden have, 222 yards rushing and 3 starts?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy the numbers he's got just in his 4 starts he's had. I mean, the guy's an amazing talent.
All right. Hey, Jay, thanks for your time. Again, Jay, you can check him out. 96.5 The Fan, 610 a.m. in Kansas City. Jay Binkey, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you stopping by the Believe in Commanders podcast.
Appreciate having Jay join us. And Scott, one of the biggest things I was hearing was just the message that I would want to deliver to Commanders fans, right? He mentioned 21 years of futility and just having, not a lot of good success. And then over time, the success started to build up. And then eventually the expectation was to win Super Bowls. It's just like whenever you have a whole bunch of bad data out there and you're getting spam calls and phishing attempts. But once you take initiative, Scott, and you start changing the way you handle things, like using something like Delete Me, it makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time when surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make every single person vulnerable. And these data brokers, they take advantage of your profit, and they take advantage of your data, and they profit off of it. They're going to package it up, your name, email, social security number, they put it all together, sell it online. And New York Times Wirecutter has named Delete Me their top pick for data removal services. So, hey, why not use them to help you with it? I have been using Delete Me as well. They send me privacy reports, and they let me know where they see my information and then where they're getting it removed from, and then where I need to take a couple extra steps to get some off as well. But you yourself, as a listener, take control of your data and keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me now at a special discount for our listeners. We got you. Get 20% off of your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/pro and use the promo code PRO at checkout. The only way to get 20% off is to go to joindeleteme.com/pro. Enter the code PRO at checkout. That is joindeleteme.com/pro, code PRO. That's how you're going to get it done. Yes, indeed.
All right. Thanks to Jay Binkey again for breaking down the Chiefs, although I don't know if it makes us feel a lot better about this game. But you know what? It is any given Sunday, any given Monday. At this point, I kind of feel like, Anthony, the opponent is kind of irrelevant. We need to see the Commanders taking steps in the right areas, with their team and some of the things that Dan Quinn has been harping on here. And, maybe this game, because they're down and out without their star quarterback, they'll get back to some basics on offense and, try to slow this game down. I mean, try to keep Patrick Mahomes on that sideline. I know it's easier said than done, especially with that really good Chiefs defense. But this just seems like the game where you got to be really persistent with grinding and running that football. And, the good thing is, I do think Mariota, in a sense, is a lot better at that, right? Like in terms of the read option stuff, he's very deceptive. I think he's one of the best there's ever been. And he does a really good job not taking big hits. And, he's also healthy. Like his legs are healthy, whereas Jaden's wearing this bulky knee brace, and you can see it bothers him at times. So I'll be interested to see that. And I don't know about you, but we talked about this last time out. Will it be more Bill again, or are we going to try to maybe, be a little bit more back by committee? This seems like a Chris Rodriguez kind of game potentially too, that he could help. And obviously Jeremy McNichols, who's the most unsung hero in this offense.
Man, I'm with you on the running back by committee, and that would be one of my top keys is staying committed, getting committed, and leading with the run. Jay already shared that the Chiefs are really good at stopping teams on fourth down, but I think you have to equally be as aggressive on those fourth downs. You mentioned those read options, having that ability for Marcus to run the rock. We mentioned it, FanDuel, over under 23.5 yards rushing for Marcus Mariota. I think that's a good number.
Has to be
you
over.
could probably hit that over. I think you got to hit that over.
I think for the Commanders, right, it has to be over if you're going to win. I don't think you win a game where Marcus Mariota's not running over at least 50 yards,
Yeah, you can get that bet for even higher odds if you'd like to. I saw a 40 plus for like a +1, something like that. So those are some lines that are out there, leading with the run, staying on the field, making Patrick Mahomes and them frustrated because, frankly, they got a lot of speed on offense. Yeah. As many 4-2s as Jay was lining up, that is an Olympic 4x1 team right there. They're gonna run past you, and Mahomes can make those throws. So if you can keep those Ferraris in the garage as long as possible, it's gonna give you a better chance. So winning the time of possession will be big for me on that one. Another one for me, Scott. We get to the special team side of things. Kansas City's opponents start around the 28-yard line. We already know that the Commanders' kickoff return team is one of the best in the game. They get outwards past that 30-yard line, so I think you need to see that part of the game flourish on Monday night. Give yourself short fields. We've mentioned it every single week. Special teams has to show up. Luke McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, or any other return group. What are you going to do? How are you going to push the ball down the field? You got another key?
Well, listen, this is a broken record, and this is for any level of football, but you got to win the giveaway takeaway category, especially on the road against a team that's ferocious like this. You got to steal a couple extra possessions, then you got to cash in, even if you get the takeaways, right? Even if you protect the football, when you get those extra opportunities, those extra drives, you've got to actually put 7 on the board, not settle for field goals against this team. So I think that's huge. I mean, this team is, they just haven't created takeaways. Really go back to last year even, they didn't create takeaways, which is wild because Dan Quinn's defense is in Dallas. That's all they did. Now, granted, there's no Micah Parsons on this defense, as Dallas is finding out too. That has kind of changed the equation. But I know it kills him to his core that this team has not gotten takeaways. And just be better with the football, right? Like you can't fumble, the football like they have been doing. You can't throw, some of the silly interceptions they've thrown. They've got to be really – really careful with the football. That's why I'm hoping it's more of a run-first approach and really get persistent and test the Chiefs. I mean, because, again, they're the third-rated passing defense. And, by the way, that's playing with leads too, right? So teams are throwing, late. You know how that goes. Sometimes you get those garbage time stats, but teams aren't even getting that on the Chiefs right now. So that's an eye-opener, but they still are really good against the run. I don't think this team needs to be scared that they haven't, surrendered a 100-yard rusher. Again, you go with that committee by approach, and, of course, Mariota's got to be live in that running game. I think that and winning that takeaway category is the way that they're going to come away and shock the world Monday night if there's such a thing.
Yeah. I mean, I do always believe there's a chance, and I know there's going to be a quadrant, sure, a faction of fandom that's just like, y'all, it ain't it. It's not. We don't have a chance at all. But whenever you have 17-1 showing up for you, I think this is a big vet leadership game, right? Like y'all really gotta elevate your play. You really got to be that much more vocal. Like, get the play called that you see and that you feel. Like Trent McDuffie versus Terry McLaurin. Hey, man, call the play that's going to get you to rock and get you open, 17. Deebo Samuel, same vibe. Like, get in Cliff's face and let him know, hey, we need to run these, do these things, because we're going to work guys, because we need something from them. I need a big game from Zach Ertz. All right, all my vets across the board. You even look at on the defensive side, Bobby Wagner. Hey, you mentioned all that speed at the running back position. You know what I mean? They're going to put you all in difficult spots. Who's going to step up? And I love the quote from a few weeks ago: "Violence fixes everything," at least on the football field. So
violence solves everything on the football field.
Yeah, with a little be aggressive and be physical with that speed that you're going to go up against. Make them think twice about running all those crossers and getting around there. So this is an all-around game. Everybody has to show up and bring your lunch pail. This can't be one of them ones where, hey, coach, I forgot my socks. Can I get a pair of socks? Because no. That ain't the vibe.
Socks. I like that. One of the keys from Anthony Armstrong.
Bring your socks.
Yeah, again, Commanders plus 11.5 at last check, and 47.5 the over-under here as well on FanDuel right now. And, of course, Believe in Commanders podcast, part of the Believe Network, is brought to you by the good folks at FanDuel. So we'll see. That's why they play the games, Anthony. If it was just so simple as they just wrote them down on paper, we wouldn't even line it up on Monday. But hoping for better things for the Commanders. Got to see some improvement on that defense. Got to see some consistency with this offense as they get some pieces back, and hopefully better things ahead. And, maybe a Monday night miracle. We'll take that certainly on Monday night. So until next time, we'll talk about this on Tuesday with you. For Anthony Armstrong, Scott Jackson, again, part of the Believe Network. It is Believe in Commanders here. And until next time, thanks for joining us.